All right, we're streaming. Well, Richard, thanks so much for joining us. We've got quite a number of people in our blockchain and crypto group who's really interested in what you guys are doing at Quantstamp. I've got quite a number of asks on can we have you on do a video AMA. So very informal. Why don't we go through intros, your background, genesis of the company, and then we would love to move into what you guys are doing, the problems you guys are solving, and your solution. And then we'd love to talk a little bit about your ICO, your upcoming ICO. So with that, take it away.
Yeah, really appreciate coming on this. Yeah, so Quantstamp, we're building the first scalable solution to audit smart contracts. How we came up with this is that I was one of the original investors in Ethereum during their crowd sale. And after that, I got really interested in the concept of the DAO, like this decentralized autonomous organization. And I decided to put all my Ether into the DAO. And then the DAO, unfortunately, like it was a smart contract that got hacked.
Yeah.
And so at one point, I lost all my Ether until they decided to do a hard fork. And then I ended up gaining more, but after that, I thought that, this like the blockchain for Ethereum is very secure, where they do transactions, but the smart contract layer is not secure. It's like,
Yeah.
And then after that, I'm a programmer, and my co-founder is also a programmer, and we met in San Francisco, and we decided to build Quantstamp. So.
Got it. And Richard, before you guys decided to go full time on this, what did you do before for your day job?
Yeah, so I was an algorithmic trader. So that meant I was building programs that were handling millions of dollars. It's like fully automated programs. So I really took the time to do a lot of different types of software testing, and that's how I knew like the importance of really good testing.
Yeah.
And my co-founder, he started two companies dealing with GPUs and databases, also in San Francisco, and he had a PhD in software verification.
Got it. Got it.
So we kind of unite in software testing and verification.
So that's a good combo. Plus the fact that you were early in Ethereum and you saw what could go wrong, right, at the smart contract layer, and it seems like certainly between then and now, there've been more than a few occurrences where that happens, and it sounds like as ICO matures, your service would be much needed.
Yeah, almost monthly or bi-monthly, there have been different types of hacks onto smart contracts. So not all of them are result in the stealing of funds. Sometimes they can just lock up the smart contract, so that in some cases, it's kind of even worse. But yeah.
Yeah. No, it's we've certainly seen it publicly. Now, tell us a little bit about how. Well, number one, what do people do today? If you guys didn't exist, what is the alternative, right? Number two, now that you guys exist, and I think you guys did the audit for Request Network recently, so that went on without a hitch. So congratulations, obviously. Yeah, I'd love to hear about how you guys do it.
Yeah, sure. So right now, what people do is there are auditing companies, and they charge anywhere between $5,000 to $100,000 to do an audit. And the more well-known they are, the more they charge. And the problem with charging so much for an audit is because that it's manual. It takes like 5 days to a month to do an audit, and also that a lot of companies that want to do audits, they can't, because all the auditing companies are really, really backed up, like all the way until next year with pre-orders of their audits. So it's just also like when people upgrade their smart contracts. So if they got an audit and they upgrade their smart contract, just change some code, they wouldn't pay $10,000 to do another audit.
Right.
Well, it's too time consuming and it's too expensive.
Yeah.
So what Quantstamp is doing is we're making it really fast to do an audit, really cheap, like less than $100, and less than like 10 minutes to complete an audit. And the way we do this is via formal verification techniques that have been simplified for use with Solidity. And it's a suite of techniques that have been used in software testing for like really mission critical systems like medical devices, automobiles, like for NASA. So by adapting these techniques and putting it onto a second layer protocol on top of Ethereum, we're able to essentially scale our service because people are incentivized to run our nodes, which do the computation, and also it provides a transparent way that everyone can see what goes on in the audit.
Yeah.
So like with a normal auditing company actually running, but with Quantum, you can see exactly what we're running because it's all open.
Got it.
So it's
And Richard, when you say $100, does it mean that for example, Request Network that's doing that did their ICO, you charge them $100 for you to audit their code?
I actually didn't charge them anything. So I think that's like the fact that we didn't charge them anything is one of the reasons why it's kind of the value of our service.
Right.
Because we use the fuzz tester to test their code.
Yeah.
And that generated like millions of tests in a matter of like minutes.
Yeah.
So it kind of manually we have to do.
Yeah.
Obviously we should have charged, but it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then I think the rest of the work for audit is really like writing the report.
Yeah.
Which actually takes a lot of time.
Takes longer.
And, writing the report. But a lot of the report is also boilerplate. Like it's very repetitive.
Yeah.
So that's, and then the other part of the audit is like looking at the intentions of the programmer.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of manual process in there to make sure that they did something which they intended to do.
Yeah.
But I would say that's, except for that, most of it can be automated.
Got it. And is the system ultimately going to be, for someone who wants to use you guys to audit, they will basically have to acquire your tokens, right?
So because it's a second layer protocol on top of Ethereum, we want to benchmark the price of an audit to our tokens instead of to Ethereum, because otherwise the value could fluctuate wildly. And also we're using our like a modified node to do the software verification. So they would buy our tokens and then submit their source code in a transaction with our tokens to our smart contract, which is on Ethereum.
Got it.
And from there, like our modified nodes would kick off the software verification.
I see. Got it. And Richard, did you guys? How big is your team right now? And did you guys end up raising any private money before this? Before your upcoming ICO?
So our team is now 10 people. We have 5 engineers, so 4 PhDs in software verification, another back-end web engineer, 3 full-time community managers, a chief communication officer, Meg, and then me.
Got it.
And we didn't raise any private money because I think it's very important in blockchain to make sure that all the value goes to the end user. That's something I really fundamentally believe in. So when we started, we decided that we weren't going to have like a private pre-sale. We're going to open it up to everyone. And the way we open it up is like people who care more, they get a higher reward.
Yeah.
So that it's like our end users actually get rewarded instead of large funds. So that's how we did our pre-sale.
Yeah. No, I think it's important for the audience to at least our group here. We see a lot of ICOs, but I think it's really important that I think everyone gets it that you guys are doing a few things really uniquely and really interesting, which I think should be replicated by other ICOs. I think number one is this idea of the value ought to accrue to the end user, right? I think a lot of ICOs today, and I think Richard, you sort of alluded to it, right? There are a lot of big investors that come in. They get to come in early. They get to buy in on the cheap with deep discounts and what have you. And these are the guys who potentially are the ones who flip out early, right? And they capture the economic rent and the economic gain. And frankly, there are a lot of other sort of individual, more retail type investors who do believe, and in some ways, ironically, the longer term holder, they end up holding the bag, right? I feel like I've anecdotally seen that over the last 6 months or so. So you guys have eschewed some of these more popular methods, which I think is interesting and admirable, and I hope that a lot of other ICOs kind of follow the same thing. I also think the other thing that's really inventive as part of that is what you guys did with the proof of care. If you don't mind, because I think this ought to be very instructive to other people doing ICOs down the road. Can you give us some some examples and details of how you guys are doing that and what that means?
Oh yeah. So proof of caring, there are so many facets that go into proof of caring. Okay, so on the surface, here's proof of caring. It means that like when we open up our pre-sale, we didn't just let institutionals get in. In fact, we much more valued like individuals that care a lot about our project. And the way we did it is just via a simple Google form that you can put like representations of your caring into the Google form. Some people they're not social, but they could have strong views about how we want to design the product, and they write that in there. And it could be positive and negative things because I actually value both.
Yeah.
And other people, they're like more social, and they could like write a blog post or make some memes. And we have like tons of really good memes, and also other people who make videos as part of their proof of caring. And I think the reason for doing this is that it's really investor education, actually, because and that's I think is not a message that is widely communicated.
Yeah.
I think when people like internalize what our company is trying to do, they're actually educating themselves.
Yeah.
And during this education process, instead of flippers, they become hodlers.
Yep.
And also, I think it's like in our community, we have one of the most engaged communities because everyone has been through this process of submitting their proof of caring.
Yeah.
So it's really like a nice, like friendly and good place to hang out. And that's part of why like we have over 10,000 people in our Telegram. It's like the second largest in history.
Yeah.
So so like when I designed it, I think I just wanted to make sure that our users would benefit from our ultimate progress.
Yeah.
And also that they were fully aligned. So.
Yeah. No, I think it's in some ways you think about the whole ICO, the spirit of the ICO, right? I think a lot of it is grassroots fundraising, right? I think what you guys are doing is actually, a lot of people have kind of gone away from that with a lot of big investors coming in and sort of the institutional guys. And I think a lot of what you're doing, which I find fascinating, harkens back to sort of the original spirit of grassroots fundraising, right? Which I think get lost in all this gajillions of dollars getting raised and new money coming in. So kudos to you guys for being thoughtful on this. Wish more ICOs kind of would follow suit.
Yeah, I want to take us back to the roots of crypto. Like, really, the roots of crypto is that like Quantstamp is the custodian of the network, and our network is to check software.
Yeah.
And our goal is to, like provide value to the community, to the people who like run the network, that contribute to the open source software, and to the people that like ultimately use it. And I think that's like the roots of crypto. It's like giving money directly or giving value directly to the users. So
yeah. And Richard, for those who are sort of contemplating ICO projects in flight, and they want to use you guys, your service, how do they contact you guys? Just go to the site.
yeah. So what they will do is just go to the contact form on the site and just write. We have an ICO coming up. We'd like to order an audit. And right now we actually have like a lot of audits in our queue.
Yeah.
So that's a good way. And then immediately after our crowd sale, our website is gonna basically turn into a huge auditing order form. so that's another way.
That's cool. I will, for those who are watching, I'll make sure the link is at the bottom of the description here once the video is done, so you guys can click through and check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your upcoming ICO, just in terms of some of the basic parameters, how much you guys are looking to raise, and some of the other numbers.
Yeah. So we like basically are almost done our $11 million pre-sale, and our total cap is 30 million cap, and that allows us to hire about 27 engineers for 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
And that should be enough to build our whole protocol. So the ICO, it's an individually capped ICO. So based on the current numbers, I expect like the individual cap to be between 2 to 3 Ether per person. And it will take place on around November 15th. Right now, there's also this Bitcoin like 2x hard fork, so we might move it to slightly after the hard fork. But that's the main parameters.
Got it.
And to we have to submit get onto the Telegram, get onto the email list. So.
Got it. All right. I will. We will make sure the link to the Telegram is at the bottom as well for the submission for those who are interested. And the last question, Richard, which is around once money's been raised and you guys are off to the races, what's your vision for the company, for Quantstamp, over the next few years, right? As more and more ICOs kind of come online, gets more professionalized, and what have you. What are some of the other areas that you'd like to add on beyond sort of code verification and the like?
Yeah, I think there's so for Quantstamp, our goal is to become the industry standard for software verification, and the way that we'll achieve that is by first partnering with really good companies to do audits. So we have like a pipeline, and that allows us to build our reputation. And the other thing that we'll do is partner with other blockchains that are forks of Ethereum. For example, like OneChain, Quantum, these are blockchains that use Solidity, have an EVM. And it's really easy for us to also audit smart contracts on those blockchains.
Got it. Would you ever do non-Ethereum smart contracts like Neo, things built on Neo, NEM, other guys?
Yeah. Actually, we're currently in discussions with one non-Ethereum blockchain that I think is promising.
Yeah.
But for that company, it's quite early, so we're actually able to also help them shape the way their smart contract is constructed.
Yeah.
So it's easier to be audited. I do consider that, but ultimately, I think that there is a strong network effect with blockchain technology where Ethereum is already so strong, has such a strong open source community behind it, and so many dApps built on top of it, that I do think it will be the market leader in the future. So that is why we have concentrated our energy on it.
Got it. That makes sense. We're kind of coming up on the half hour. I don't want to take too much of your time on Sunday. Any last things that you'd like to emphasize, call out to our audience?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks a lot, everyone, for coming. So I'll actually be making an interesting announcement like later today regarding proof of HODL. So yeah, proof of HODL, HODL. So keep on the lookout for that. And yeah, thank you for watching.
No, that would be great. I will. Yeah, I'll definitely post related links on it. I assume that you announce it on the Telegram channel as well.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. If you have a couple of minutes, I'm gonna stop streaming now. You're gonna get it uploaded.